protests across the U.S. at various college campuses. In the Northeast, a pro-Palestinian demonstration at Brooklyn College.
Those crazy kids, yeah, they really and truly do some very, very crazy things. Maybe it's all the Starbucks in their system. I don't know. Seeing how it is that this story right here is mostly about Starbucks and the fact that they have a Baristas Union that is currently being sued by Starbucks because the Baristas Union, for whatever reason, chose to side with Palestine in this current affair that's going on between Israel and the Gaza Strip. Right. Starbucks, baristas have chosen to take the side of the Palestinians. Now, guys, you can choose to take whatever side you want. I mean, it is what it is. But obviously, a lot of people are going to be boycotting this product. However, the thing is this right here. I think I know the real reason why it is that the Baristas Union chose to take the side of Palestine. I showed you guys a bit of an exact reason why. The colleges, the college campuses. Now, really quick. I very, very rarely drink Starbucks. I remember the whole Bud Light boycott. I remember exactly how effective that was. And I remember talking about that issue, making about 5 or 6 videos on that. A lot of people who subscribe to my channel actually subscribed over that. And of course, I had stated in those videos with the whole thing with Dylan Mulvaney that I had not drank Bud Light in a long time, not since 2017, maybe even 2016. And I don't really drink as much beer as I used to, but Bud Light is actually something I gave up on a long time ago. So if you guys wanted to put it down and not touch it again, go right ahead. That is your choice. Now, this thing with Starbucks, on the other hand, and by the way, I'm not a Starbucks drinker either. I've always viewed Starbucks as like once every now and again. But of course, if you guys want to put down Starbucks and say, look, we're not going to drink this product anymore, fine by me. That's great. I mean, as a matter of fact, my feelings on Starbucks actually soured, then they unsoured, then they soured again, then they unsoured. So, of course, this is just another process that I'm going to be going through. But then again, I don't really drink much Starbucks. But the reason why I chose to show you guys what's going on at the college campuses first is because I believe that right there is the real reason why it is that the Starbucks Baristas Union has chosen to go in this direction. Which is also very weird, too, because only Tim Pool was actually reported on this that I can think of right now. It's actually kind of a very obscure story. I'll be playing some of that here in a second. But let's go ahead and roll the rest of this news report really quick so that way you guys can get a bit of an idea on the college campuses. By the way, there is going to be a video coming out this weekend on this very topic. Should students be blacklisted? I'll kind of preview some of that for you guys at the very end and give you guys my personal thoughts on the situation outside of telling you what's going on. But let's go ahead and roll this first, and we'll get to that on the other end. Let's go ahead and roll it.
And at Columbia University, massive crowds as supporters of both Israel and Palestinians held competing protests.
Columbia, open your eyes!
In the nation's capital, American University students gathering in solidarity with Israel.
The horror has reached an unimaginable level.
While supporters of Palestinians made their presence known.
It's scary. I mean, I walked up here with my flag on and I instantly took it off because, you know, people are telling you to be careful.
At UNC Chapel Hill, tensions boiling between supporters of the two sides. Arizona State University Students for Justice in Palestine holding a rally today outside the Student Union, one day after the school's Hillel Jewish organization held a vigil in support of Israel. The school acknowledging the distress and concern caused by the week's events in a statement, but some Jewish students say it doesn't go far enough.
There was no real statement saying what happened was wrong, which I think is stressing out a lot of the Jewish students.
The Starbucks Baristas Union is saying that, look, this is defamation. You decided to basically sue us right now. They're citing all kinds of crazy stuff. Don't worry. I'll leave the article in the description box. You guys know me. I typically don't tend to read the article verbatim here online because I think it's kind of boring to do so. And also at the exact same time, I don't really do the share screen thing here. I like to get these videos out a lot faster, which is part of the reason why I'm going to essay format next year. But still at the same time, that's another day, another topic for another topic for another day. Fact of the matter is that right now at these school campuses, especially in areas where there's actually a university at, and some of these places, of course, include Harvard, Yale, UNC Chapel Hill. The place that I live at, UNC Chapel Hill, is not Harvard or Yale, even though a lot of people in my home state are probably going to get on me for saying that, seeing how it is that I'm a North Carolinian. Of course, you've also got Duke, which is a little bit more Ivy League, but of course, you've got all these Ivy League schools out there like Princeton, and of course, you've also got what else? I mean, how many Ivy League schools do we have here? I mean, I know I just named off a few of them, but by God, there's a bunch of them. Well, at these locations and at these universities, there's going to be a Starbucks or a Starbucks stand. There's going to be a lot of those Starbucks in those towns. So they figured, okay, if we take the side of Israel, we're going to lose a lot of support. That's probably the real reason why they did it, because at the end of the day, it always comes down to the almighty dollar. However, there is something here that kind of tells me that it could be a little bit more ideological if you actually know the company's roots. Enter what Tim Pool was about to say, because he did, in fact, do a bit on this earlier today. And I thought some of the things that he said could be very, very well explained. But then again, at the very end, and I'll explain a little bit more here in a second, because I think if somebody says, look, we want to ask you if you're a part of the union, which, by the way, the Baristas Union has probably got a lot of people at a lot of different locations. Chances are, if you go to one of these, you're probably going to find somebody that is in the Baristas Union. But let's go ahead and roll this.
And when we're at the point where the people who run Starbucks know it is wrong to support Hamas, and it is likely going to result in lost business, the union doesn't care. Look at this. Look at this bifurcation. This is crazy. The Intercept reports. The coffee company says the union, Starbucks Workers United, is making people think it stands in solidarity with Palestine after the Hamas attack. Starbucks is suing its union. This is from yesterday. Starbucks Workers United, after objecting to the group's social media post in support of Palestine after the Hamas attack on Israel. No, Starbucks, this one's on you. This one is on you. Now, I can respect them suing the union over this, but this is who you hire. These are the policies you've employed. Welcome to the world you created. Now, again, good. Fire them. In fact, I think they should be able to just terminate all of these employees. They say, according to an internal company note circulated Tuesday, obtained by The Intercept, the company had previously condemned the post, but is now upping the ante, planning to take the union to court. In a message from Executive Vice President Sarah Kelly, Starbucks argued that the union's use of the name Starbucks confuses customers, and that some customers took their anger over the SWU statement on store employees. No, I will not. Starbucks, I'm sorry. I'm done. Until you remove these people, I believe in the boycott and boycott plan, right? We got Cash Brew coffee anyway. I don't need no Starbucks. Now, I'll be the first to admit, when I go out and I want coffee, I go to Starbucks. You know why? They're like the only coffee shop that is heavy cream.
This really quick. There is one area where he is 100% correct on. Starbucks kind of did this themselves. I remember back in 2003 when I joined the United States Marine Corps, a lot of things were popping up in the area that I was living at. And of course, I obviously went and served in Iraq. Now, here's what was popping up around the area that I lived at. I live in a town, the town that we used to go to every weekend to get everything done, because it's not like I didn't live in a town that didn't have like a Walmart or anything like that. Obviously we did, but there's a bigger town that's about 30 miles down the road where you've got a lot more stuff where you do most of your Christmas shopping at, because you can find areas in this town. This is back before the whole online craze of online shopping and all that stuff. We went to a town where there was actually like a Best Buy. There was still a Circuit City, which before it shut down. You had a lot of phone stores were beginning to pop up. You also had Starbucks as well. That's when a lot of people around the area that I live at actually got up with Starbucks. They actually got an education, or at least started, I say education because they got an education on coffee. And it was right around that time that Starbucks actually began to really pick up in the area that I live at, which, of course, as you guys can probably tell by my accent, I live in the South. The thing that you have to understand, though, is that Starbucks at that time had taken a position that was very anti-war. Now, I understand that there are people out there who are not okay with the Iraq War, Afghanistan, do not think that we should have been there. I've heard a lot of their arguments, and some of their arguments I do, in fact, agree with. But then again, at the same time, there are also a lot of arguments that have been made against those people that I agree with as well. I'll give you guys my personal take, probably in one of the many essays that I have got prepared ready for next year, which will probably be on my backup channel, Gearshi 33, which is a more military-related channel. Or I may put it out here. I'm not entirely sure yet. I'm still working out the details of exactly what direction I'm going to go in with all the spare channels, but still at the same time, the thing about Starbucks' position is that they took a very anti-war position, which we understood why. You're allowed to do that, but a lot of people, especially in areas like, say, the South and the West and the Midwest, decide to kind of like say, you know what, maybe we don't want to drink this product because you're not exactly showing any support. Now, really quick, you don't have to be pro-war to support the troops, but that is exactly what Starbucks kind of gave off at that time. Well, later on, over time, Starbucks got new ownership, and next thing you know, they were a little bit friendlier, not to the topic of war. They were definitely a little more friendlier to veterans. You see, one of the things that Starbucks had at that time was they'd also taken a position against the boys who were coming off the planes, and many people felt that, okay, this is kind of a redo of what happened during Vietnam when the boys were protesting getting off the plane for just simply doing their job. For whatever reason, people chose to blame the veterans and not the actual politicians, except in the case of Iraq and Afghanistan, they chose to blame the politicians and the leadership. But of course, the veteran topic is another topic we'll discuss another day, but still at the same time, people kind of got that feeling. I know I've said still at the same time a lot, but then again, that's also better than saying actually all the time like I normally do. But still, the thing is this right here. Starbucks has always had a position that did not exactly line up with those who would be, say, pro-support the troops or pro-support Israel. Obviously, as a Christian conservative, I'm going to support Israel in this entire affair, okay? It's no secret. I made a bunch of videos on that last week, and I've got 2 more videos coming out that are going to be pertaining to this topic this weekend. One to be released on Friday, which, of course, is about the situation that occurred all week where people got it wrong, the political ramifications and all that stuff there. And, of course, the other one is going to be about the college situation, which is a beef between 4 separate content creators, but that's coming out on Saturday. It's going to be a very, very long take. The thing is this right here. Starbucks doing this should not surprise anybody, especially given the location of all their stores. The vast majority of these stores are going to be in towns where their college is at. Well, college students typically tend to lean a little bit more to the left. Starbucks did do this to themselves. They kind of created this, and you're going to hear me talk a little bit about what Starbucks did as far as like back in the day when they originally got started, and they eventually started to break out and expand their stores, especially in the late 90s and early 2000s. They had a very anti-war stance that actually rubbed some people the wrong way, but we'll talk about that here in a second. As far as Starbucks actually creating this own nightmare, well, let's take a look at it. Starbucks has always been a company that's kind of shifted themselves to the left on a lot of issues. They did have a recent incident where a couple of, let's just say a lady was fired, a manager, and of course she shot right back and sued Starbucks and actually won. It was a store in Philadelphia where a couple of black males entered and she had actually asked them to leave. And, of course, they cited racism where they fired her, not realizing that she actually had a valid reason for why the boys should not have been in there at the time. They didn't order anything. I think they came in just to use the bathroom. I don't even think they even did that, too, but she actually ended up winning the court case. Starbucks has taken a lot of very bad positions recently. This is something that I've noticed with them, and they're probably going to continue to do so. So if you want to actually put down the coffee, put down the Starbucks, go right ahead and do that. But then again, at the same time, a lot of the videos that I got a lot of subscribers off of were videos basically saying, look, maybe you shouldn't buy Black Rifle Coffee because of their position when they were actually given an actual position on the topic of the Second Amendment and self-defense when it came to Kyle Rittenhouse. They responded in a way that, quite frankly, was not what we'd say was the best direction to go. They pretty much said, we want nothing to do with him without even looking at the full case. Automatically assumed that the boy was guilty of killing a bunch of people, and of course they ran the narrative that the guys that he killed were black, and in reality the 2 boys that he killed were white. One of them was actually a child pedophile, the other one was a wife beater, and the other guy that he shot was an extremely scuzzy individual by the name of Gage Groschwitz. Rosenbaum and Huber, those guys right there, probably, I don't want to say anymore, I'll probably get in trouble. But when Black Rifle Coffee did that, they obviously took they took the position that was not the position they needed to take at the time. That he's wearing a Black Rifle Coffee shirt, and they pretty much said, we want nothing to do with him. They pretty much condemned him. They catered to cancel culture, and as you guys remember, they eventually sustained a massive loss, and then they gave that New York Times interview, that New York Times article. I'm not saying the same thing is going to happen here, because the baristas have obviously chosen to take the wrong side here, the unmoral side, but of course they also realize that the vast majority of the people that drink their product at these colleges are young, dumb, ideologically to the left, and are probably going to side with them regardless. For additional clarification, I got to bring up Bud Light one more time. You see, when the whole Dylan Mulvaney thing happened with Bud Light, I do remember that a lot of videos on YouTube were getting demonetized, and they were also getting copyright claims that were false. All kinds of crazy stuff was going on. And of course, people were claiming that it was trans hate, when in reality, it was just people saying, we don't want to drink your product anymore because, quite frankly, you decided to knife us in the back. And of course, Bud Light chose not to apologize or anything, and they've never really and truly recovered. Fact of the matter is that boycotts sometimes can work and sometimes boycotts do not work. In this case right here, if you want to boycott, go right ahead and do it. But I don't really drink Starbucks, never really have wanted to drink Starbucks. Because like I said before, it's mostly a delicacy. You want to pay $4 for a cup of coffee. I'm not the type of guy who actually does that on a regular basis. There are some people out there who will refuse to do it and say, no, we're not going to drink it. But then again, there's also some people that quite frankly continue to buy the product. For the most part, woke college students, about 65% to be exact, maybe even more than that, maybe even a little bit less. It's actually funny because Gen Z is actually beginning to trend a little bit more to the right. We've talked about this in previous videos, and I'll probably continue to talk about it in the videos in the future. The thing is this right here, the Starbucks Baristas Union, they obviously feel like they have a leg up because they think their customer base is actually on their side. That's probably the real reason why they're doing this. And there's also that whole situation where they decided to end the whole wokeness stuff during Pride Month, which, by the way, also pissed off their customer base, which is mostly college lefties. So in this case right here, I don't know how effective a boycott's actually going to be on this one. But if you're enraged with Starbucks positions, I'm just here to tell you right now that you shouldn't be surprised, because Starbucks has always been a company that was to the left of the mainstream, the left of politics, and more than likely they were going to ultimately side with the wrong entity in this. That does not make it right, okay? You guys can interpret that however you want to interpret it. Most of you who are subscribed to my channel already know where I stand at, and I've already kind of told you guys in the previous little bit edited clip. The thing is this right here is probably going to backfire with a much, much older demographic that does, in fact, drink Starbucks. And like I said before, if you want to boycott it, go right ahead and do it. I don't really drink Starbucks that often anyways. As a matter of fact, I'm just now beginning to actually learn Italian because I plan on going to Europe in the next couple of years, which is probably going to leave me away from it for 10 days. But I'll have some projects out. The thing that you have to understand is that you have to think about the actual customer base. And this is one of these situations where I think that the Baristas Union thought about this and said, you know what, maybe we should support Palestine, which in my opinion is the wrong position to take, but it's pretty obvious seeing how the college kids are the ones who are buying most of the product. They obviously chose to go in this direction. But then again, at the same time, you never know. Victoria's Secret, they have decided to drop the whole woke stuff. I have a video out on that. There's also the students who are raising hell about all the college debt that they have accrued. There was a video that came out earlier on that I was going to talk about and respond to tomorrow, but of course, it's not going to happen now because apparently we can't find the video. But still, at the same time, though, it looks like this is what the Baristas Union has done. You're going to lose a lot of customers age 30 to 60. You're going to lose a lot of customers probably even beyond the age of 25. The only people who are going to continue to buy the product are obviously going to be the students who are actually pro-Palestine. However, when you actually look at the marches, you have to wonder, after what Harvard and a lot of these other businesses did by saying we're just going to straight up blacklist these students, you got to wonder exactly where they're going to stand going forward. It's not a good situation if you are Jewish or if you're Israeli or if you have Israeli lineage and you are at one of these institutions. These institutions are not in favor of free speech. These institutions, quite frankly, hate you. They don't like you at all. And then to go on top of this, you have a company like Starbucks who has openly said with this move that they, quite frankly, don't want nothing to do with you and they do not support you. We're going to support the pro-Palestinian protesters is what we're going to do. That's really what the hell is going on with this particular ordeal. With that right there being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and halt the video now. Make sure you guys please hit the like button. YouTube has got this thing where they're taking away likes from smaller channels. Make sure you guys actually hit the like button so that way the video will fly up the algorithm. Please leave a comment in the comment section. I would love to get you guys' thoughts on this. Also, to go on top of that, please share the video, hit the notifications bell. Roughly only about 20% of you guys that are watching the content even subscribe. So if you're subscribed, please also hit the like button as well. So that way the video goes up. YouTube has been doing this. And like I said, I very, very rarely talk about this because a lot of times I just soldier on. But it's been getting really, really, really weird with this, especially when it comes to yellow tagging videos, ensuring that you can't get revenue off of them. So please hit the like button so that way the video will go up the algorithm. And I'll see you guys later.